What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, just cloud swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. First name we got Joa. Let me know how I say that one. Let me know how I say that one. Throw that into the chat. Good morning to you. Good morning to Albert, Andy, Bill, B. Keat. Good morning. We got Brad, Frank. You guys are all coming in with crazy names today. We got Georgia. Good morning to you. Good morning to Jeff, Kevin, Lauren, Lucian, Marius, Mark, Martina. We got Tim in the house. Good morning to you, all my people out in YouTube land. Look at that. Ben came in first one, stole the crown for the first comment of the day. Congrats to you. Good morning to you. We got Leonard. Good morning, M Sky. Mustafa's in the house. Good morning to you, Real Virtual the man. He's already thrown out BTC and Spy. Man, it's the routine at this point. We got LC. Good morning to you. All my lurkers in the background on YouTube. It's okay. I still love you. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you've not done so already. But we got Tariff Talks for sure. We got a weekend, Friday, when we were looking good, almost about to hit all-time highs. We got some tariffs across the board to Mexico, Canada, the EU. You're talking China tariffs. And then nothing over the weekend. Market not loving it, and then we pretty much exactly what we thought could happen happened pretty quickly, where we start to get reports that Trump had good conversation with Mexico. They made a deal at least for 30 days. So we got 30 days of cushion, I guess. That's what that means. Market absolutely loves it. They ripped. Later in the day, he met with Trudeau, spoke with him. Deal made. Market loves it, and we are starting to bleed a little bit. So we're not sitting where we were after the Canadian deal, but we got all the way up to 60207. That was also a pretty interesting spot to get rejected at. So technicals are still kind of playing out in this. It's just wild moves, and we're at least for now, we'll see. Maybe both Canada and Mexico, they seem to have deals made for the next 30 days. We'll see how that kind of plays out. But for now, we're good, and technicals are still kind of holding up a little bit. But it's tough, obviously, when you have news in both directions of just straight whipsaw. Probably, my guess, we see a little bit more of that come out today. I think China hit back with some tariffs to the U.S. on certain products good. So we'll see if there's any other response to that or how that kind of plays out. But that's kind of lingering. And then you got the earnings report for a couple companies. Some of them you guys already mentioned. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. A few earnings that came out already. Obviously, Palantir, PayPal came out this morning, a bunch of other companies this morning. Big one is AMD today after the bell, so that's the one I think everyone's gonna be watching. See if they can get a recovery. If they do, that might also help boost the likes of Nvidia, put some more confidence into that, maybe back into the chip AI story. SMCI maybe gets a little boost from it too. We'll see. It's kind of in the same position. But SMCI, a little bit different. Still need some word from accounting, which I think is February 11th. I think we're supposed to hear from them February 11th. So we'll see if that is positive, but we might have to wait a little bit longer for SMCI, see what happens. Otherwise, SPY opening into a little bit of support resistance, slightly above it. So it's going to act as support. See if we pull back into this 597.70 if we have not done so already. Yes, Spotify, they reported too, just straight running it up, massive earnings on that one. I would like to see again what happens. 598.62. That's our first spot. We got to get above it. The good news is we were able to capture that yesterday, making today maybe a slightly easier approach to do so. The next one up from there takes me to 599.43. We've been there yesterday as well. And let's see, the next one up that we have not got to would take us into the closing of the gap. We have not done that one. So we have not technically closed the gap from Monday into or Friday into to Monday. And we have 602.49. Again, that's right where we got to yesterday after hours. Right into that zone. So live market, we haven't closed it. Technically, we did with some after hour activity. If we could get there, we do have a shot now to break through it just because we've been there before. 604.19 will put me at a bigger stretch target for the day. I think we're going to need some good news to associate that move to get us up there. But I think that's where our next target really would be. And I think a decent resistance kind of comes in. Maybe we see double top or at least fear of double top somewhere around the 602.57. To the downside, if we start to lose this support on the SPY, the next one is 597.31. That's the one we seriously have to hold. If not, we see a bigger pullback, pretty decent pullback. Could look a little ugly. 594.38, and that also gets us below that 50 EMA. So Bulls have a lot of work to do in order to keep us above it. Right now, they're still kind of coasting. They look good. So far, I think probably we end up holding some of this. I don't really see any other real negative news out there yet, but days get wild, so we'll see if anything develops as the day moves. We are starting to see some of the Fed take some interviews and talk to, so I don't know if any of them are specifically lined up for today or not, but always interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Qs, same thing, hanging out just in chop zone. This is still a retest gap. We have not, same thing like the SPY, we have not actually closed the gap fully yet. We did get through 519.86. That's our first stop for today if we could go bullish. Otherwise, that's going to take us into 521.49 and 521.67. Let's see where we got to after hours on the Qs. We actually managed to get to 522, roughly 66. Let's see, 522.66. Uh, Pretty impressive move. Pretty impressive move after hours. The fact we couldn't hold any of it, a little scary. Otherwise, for retest, and you don't have really good range in either direction on the Qs with immediate resistance and then support not too far away either. So coin toss that one or just be patient, let one of those hit, and then try to maybe take the reverse if you like it in that direction. For the pullback, I'm trying to see if 518.32 could hold. If not, I think our next little support, which is not hugely strong, but 517.23, and then down to 516.78, that would take us into some support from that 50 EMA. We'll see how that plays out. But again, right now, looks like probable continuation, maybe a little pullback at open, but also this pre-market pullback could be that retest as well. So very interesting to see what we'll see how this first couple candles of the day wants to develop. TLT. Not looking as good, so TLT still kind of pulling back. Again, Bulls had their shot, got rejected off that 50, and now opening back below the 20. So still a little rough times in Bondland. Palantir. So Palantir reported, they absolutely crushed it. They got 26% beat on earnings per share. They also came in with an extra 51.73 million. Right now, valuation of Palantir is absolutely insane and wild. Fun fact, though, it doesn't mean it can't go higher. It could, because valuation when it was like 40 was pretty crazy, and then valuation when it got to like 60 was nuts. Oh, and when it got to like 80, that was insane. But now you're at 103, so it could definitely continue to go higher. However, maybe you don't want to sell shares into this $20 rip. I get it. Maybe it's a good time to start to sell some cover calls if you have not done so already, or if you're still in this thing. You could probably sell with premium if you could get it, like the 115s, 120s. Worst case, you get pulled out there. And then really bad news for anybody that's patiently waiting for some pullbacks. I guess this was it. I guess that was the pullback. And then we kind of took off from there. So no real big pullbacks. Retail loves the stock, absolutely driving it crazy, and it is technically a retest gap from yesterday. It is also a retest gap from every single bull who ever purchased and not sold a single stock of Palantir. They're all wildly profitable. In fact, if you own a share from the close of yesterday or any time before, you are positive on that position. So as much as I think we could probably go higher, there's zero resistance really above us except a couple of psychological numbers. I think this is more or less a fade, and I wouldn't mind trying to sell some covered calls. I don't have any positions right now. I got called away at a sweet number of $65, and then I was like, hey, yeah, and then I'll just buy it when it pulls back. But I'll wait. I will wait until the next earnings. We'll see what happens. We got Tesla. Tesla's in a weird spot. Teslas, and then I forgot real virtual demand. We got to take a look at Bitcoin. We'll do that one next. Uh, Chessie is. I think they got a little positive push yesterday with the rest of the market. They managed to get up there at 391.83. We did see the market rip yesterday, and Tesla kind of just hung out. It still moved in a positive direction, nothing too crazy. But we were looking good for the open. Anywhere outside of this candle, above this candle, 389.41. Not bad. You have some okay volume on this little red candle that we put in yesterday with that gap down. Honestly, not a tremendous amount for the decent sized drop that we had. So I think it's kind of hanging out. We did again. We've come down. We've retested this again. We were able to break through it this time, 378.63. So we got all the way into that next level down, 375.89, slightly below that. Have not touched this 370.60 yet. But I think as long as we could hang into this candle on Tesla, we still have a retest gap, technically speaking. We did close outside of this candle, so not great. I think we're just in no man's land right now on Tesla. Um, I'm in this one bullish. I've got calls. I've got pretty hard stops right underneath this candle. So as soon as this one breaks down, so be it. Just get me out. We could see a bigger pullback into that 350 zone, and I'll gladly take the loss on the shot. But possible double bottom. Really have to capture this 389.83 for today. See if we get a close above that one, and then we're looking for resistance back to this 393.60 into 395 zone. We need to get back above northbound that side. Still not out of the woods, but you got 402.73, and then maybe back to like this 416.73 if you can make it. So decent room to the upside. Good spot for risk reward. Doesn't look crazy bullish yet. Um, with that, especially with that gap down, trapping some people, probably just leaves us into a little bit more chop until this market wants to decide what it actually wants to do. China pushes Goog, and it still almost gap. Oh, punishes. I thought you said. I was like, I don't think they use Google in China. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. We got Bitcoin, BTC, USD. Bitcoin. Really healthy bull run that we had again, all off the tariff news. If tariffs come back, but watch this candle, really good volume on it. This one starts breaking down. You probably see a push into that 200, which would take us back into this 83,300 zone. So for right now, chopping, but this is a little bit of a retest. Support on this one, we've almost hit already. Not quite, but very close to it. 97,688. You're going to want to stay above that. The next support, 95,655. Really good support. You're going to want to see that one hold. Otherwise, back to this level, which now we've already retested, 94,384. That'd be a lot easier. But the fact that you're getting below the opening price of this candle, you're still hanging in there in probably a bullish direction, just not as strong as if this thing could just kind of hang out here and then either later today we rally, or probably even better yet would be tomorrow to actually rally. He's got momentum coming down. You're in a squeeze. Moving average is going to help give you some support. So I think you got a little chop still, but really good volume at least on that candle. You're going to want to stay above it, and I think this is more of a retest. But check coin MSTR, see if they're going to get a little pullback at open, just kind of following Bitcoin a little bit. We got Oracle ORCL. Gap up, retest gap right into resistance. So I think you're going to be met with some fierce bears trying to hold this thing back at 170.04, 170.51, and then the last hurrah for the bears really trying to hold this 170.67. If we could start getting above that, there is still some resistance. We've messed with it all before, but 171.94. Otherwise, I think the bulls are kind of looking. I think they're looking for that gap fill. Otherwise, the next real resistance would take you to about 178.70. So decent amount of upside. I think for us to fill this gap, obviously, if we could get above the immediate resistance, that would be great. But then I think you got your next move, probably to the top of this candle, small pullback, something like that. Get back into this 179-ish zone, pull back, and then I think you're ready to almost try to fill that gap before either this or this. So I think that's the path to the gap fill. I don't unfortunately think it's a straight up move. I think there will be a little hesitation all the way through it, especially on Oracle. If some more news comes out, but I think they had their I think they had their little moment press conference. You still got that island reversal there, and you are being met with a little resistance. Lucian says jolts at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. 10 a.m. I keep want to say 10 EMA, but may not have much effect on the markets. I think it will have a short term. I think we will see. I think we will see some effect from jolts. How long lived? But I would expect actually a decent move because if we see anything wild, if it comes in just average, normal, probably nothing. Comes in hot on either side. Jerome Powell's still going to be watching jolts. We're still going to be talking. Everyone forgot about interest rates already. Nobody cares about Jerome Powell anymore, but he's still out there looming in the dark corners somewhere. All right, let's check out Google. What was the Google news? I didn't even see it. China, you telling me China's punishing Google? It sets a report this week. Yep, so they do have earnings coming out. Oh, Qualcomm, alongside other major companies. We still got Amazon, we still got Qualcomm, and then AMD is obviously today after the bell. What was the punishment on Google from China? But yeah, they're hanging out. It is a gap up, still inside day, so nothing too crazy. Very close to all-time highs. I don't know how severe the Google punishment is because China doesn't really use Google in the first place. So I don't know how much that really affects the overall business. Maybe some of the underlining, like other sectors of the business China does use. They got some antitrust stuff. Yeah. I don't think it's a huge deal. I think if the US came out with a Google antitrust, which didn't we have something like that before? Some kind of shakeup here. I think it was on this day. But yeah, if US puts out something like that for Google, I think you see a little bit more of effect. Even with that though, China with the tariffs to the US, a lot of the Chinese stock names are still pumping as well. So you have a good move right into resistance on Bob. This is probably a retest, but you got $100.76 if you could start capturing, probably a little higher, 186. Next resistance on this one, 102.46. Still looks healthy, but I think a little bit of a pullback at open PDD. Same thing, nice gap up here. This one actually has some room on it, still inside day, so you might want to wait for a little bit of a pullback. Next target in a bullish direction will take you to about 109.53. And we'll look at Baidu real quick. Baidu, same thing. Inside day, this is also right into resistance. I think this is probably a faded open on Baidu as well. So most of the Chinese stocks, I'm thinking fade. Maybe Google fades with it, but yep. So far, even with some of the China tariff news, and now you telling me Google antitrust. Nobody cares when we're in a bullish market. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. What am I even doing? None of this matters. We got Logitech. So Logitech is gapping up a little bit. Still hanging out from the earnings. That was a really, really good bounce spot that we had. It is a good gap and go. I think targets on this one taking me to about 99.90. So we have some room on this one. Let's get this one a little bit higher on the list. Gap and go. Maybe a high wave candle at open. I would love to see a pullback just so I can get better risk to reward. Otherwise, we got about $2 to the higher side, $2.10, something like that, depending on where we're at. But pretty decent spot for us to get this high wave candle hanging in, gap fill, not quite happening yet. Let's check the volume real quick on this one. Pretty decent volume, at least in the bearish direction. Yeah, maybe a pullback. Give me a better price. Give me like this 96.72 on Logitech. It's not like a must own for me or must trade. I'm gonna check out Spotify. Spotify with a good gap up. That one is all-time highs. Yep, right along, sitting pretty with Palantir 589.40. I'm actually surprised Palantir's not at 589.40. I don't understand what's wrong with Palantir. Like, are they even a real company? I don't know. Just maybe today they'll hit 589.40. We got Spotify, technically a retest gap from yesterday. There is some people profitable. You are at all-time highs. Nice run up into this. Um, Unfortunately, and I don't know if it's going to be the easiest short in the world, but I do think Spotify probably is a faded open, kind of like that Netflix gap. We'll see. SMCI. Still looks rough. Again, they got one piece of news they really need, and that's to be not a fraudulent accounting practiced company. If they can get through that hurdle, they might be good. But I think that comes out. Is their earnings? Yeah, their earnings are February 11th. I think that's when we're supposed to hear from the accounting firm that's doing the auditing. I would hope that we hear from them before then or on earnings. Otherwise, even if those numbers come out, but we don't hear anything from the accounting, like then we still don't know what the numbers are. So we're just kind of waiting on that one. Otherwise, it is a gap up. It's going to hit resistance relatively soon, right into this 2012 zone, 2031. If AMD has bad earnings and AMD gets crushed today, that's going to weigh into everything tech, and I think SMCI takes a hit with it, which might present you with a good opportunity ahead of February 11th, where you get a better risk reward on the buy just in case. But we'll see where it goes from here. Otherwise, I would be a little concerned in a bullish direction with I'd almost want this to be a failed gap and go, kind of come back into this 27-30 range and then try to take it on the next push. But we'll see what happens on that one. AMD again, who knows? It is in a interesting spot. We are sitting at 52-week lows, heading into earnings. They did have a miss on the last time, but you missed by less than a penny, so 0.25% on earnings per share. Not horrific. They did beat on revenue last time by 104 million, so they're still making some good kashisha. You have resistance, a strong resistance, somewhere around 117.50. Probably look at maybe the highs of that for today. This one maybe could get bought up ahead of earnings unless there's just so much fear coming into this one. I don't see it. I think if this one comes down lower, I do have a what did I sell the 10. I think I sold a 104 on this one too. Good premium on the put side. I really don't mind getting filled if it's the case. But they were for the most part getting clobbered on uh, guidance and outlook. We'll see how that stands up. If Lisa Sue was kind of sandbagging a little bit, we'll know by probably about 4:05 p.m. Eastern today. So we'll see. But I think well positioned into the earnings might be one to look for some kind of a balance if we're going to get it. This is probably the day that it comes in. For a day trade purpose, I don't know. It might be all over the place. Could be all over the place. Uh, for day trade purpose, right into resistance. This is a retest gap as well. Again, maybe we get that fade. Look for probably somewhere around this $115 zone to hold. Otherwise, look for maybe a bounce slightly lower, 114.70. But I think it holds in this range ahead of earnings, and then maybe we could buy it up ahead. We haven't done that so far, so that tells me that we probably won't do it today, and it's almost a wait and see type thing. But man, there's a lot of fear on this one. Big drop on this one. I think that drop does present some kind of good potential opportunity risk to reward wise. But we'll find out today after the bell. We got TEM. Couple of you guys want TEM. Tempus. Nice gap up here. I think this is one that we did look at the other day. Good strong bullish engulfing candle yesterday. Probably a little bit of a retest, but well positioned above some decent resistance. The first one should have been 64.44. And we are right now at least opening above it. Next one is 66.62. If we can get above that one, you're still back into this. So a lot of resistance ahead of you. That's my only issue. Otherwise, really good gap. Otherwise, it's also a retest too. So I think be careful just hopping in bullish on this one. Let's add this one to the list. We'll watch this one for sure just to see. It's a nice gap. Almost clearing some pivots. Not quite there yet. But definitely some bullish momentum running into this one. Earnings look like comes out in a couple weeks. Let's see, TEM February 26th, so toward the end of the month. Yep, good old Tempus AI. PayPal. Yeah, PayPal earnings came out. I didn't think they were that bad. Nice beat. Almost 6%, 5.94%. Beat earnings per share. You did have a good revenue beat, 108 million. Tanking on the news. I don't know what they said on the call, if it's happened yet or not, but it is pretty much priced for perfection coming in. So quite opposite of AMD, where that one's sitting. This one, even with the beat, you're getting a little beat up on it. Not a great location at open. Again, I don't think the earnings were that bad. I think there'll be a buy the dip opportunity. Retail traders, they're not as in love with PayPal as something like Palantir, so getting a little sell off here. Again, I think this will eventually provide yet another buy the dip opportunity. Good double top for net right now, and it does look like it's kind of breaking down. So we'll see where this one wants to open. Again, I'm not sure what their guidance is or what they're kind of putting on the calls, but the numbers really weren't that bad. Not too bad at all. 81.50, you're going to look for your first spot to hold. If that breaks down, you do have an open gap fill all the way down to 79.22. So I don't see that would be quite out of the realm of impossible for a target for today. And maybe that gets us out balanced. It is a gap and go, so bearish gap and go, so a little bit more pressure to the downside, even though the earnings will tell you otherwise. We will see. Accounting firm of we are of we are in crooks. Yeah. Well, as long as they get the job done, that's what I'm happy about. We'll see. CME. Still got a couple of minutes. CME Group. Really great close yesterday. Again, a little bit of resistance. I think this one could get taken out. 241.34. I like that close a lot. You're probably going to want to see a small pullback, maybe into yesterday's VPOC. Maybe not. You got a good support here. I'd say if this one wants to go high wave candle. Um, this is an interesting spot for a location for open. I would rather get this one close to 240.08 if we can get that pullback. But if we want to hold that support, we get a high wave candle, something we could take a break on. CME might not be that bad. And then the next resistance, 242.52, but I think you could possibly make it to 244.35, which would be my target, and that would be some decent risk reward on that one. Obviously, the lower we could get it, the better. But that really good close. I'd see if there's some follow through on that one. For today, Clarice got the participation trophy. A trophy is a trophy. That's it. And that is the morning bell. So make sure everybody on YouTube, you guys hit that like and subscribe buttons if you have not done so already. Other than that, big day after the bell, watching AMD, watching some of these stocks, and if we